Good morning. Welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. I hope you're doing well today. So today I'm just going to talk a little bit about bringing some proof into the whole work that we're doing about the whole spirituality of our galactic origins and our brothers and sisters that are all over the planet. And then, I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe I keep kind of getting this idea, and it's probably going to sound totally out there to you, but if the Greys came back in time so they could fix their genetic deficiencies, right? Who's to say that we didn't come back in time, that we're not traveling back in time to come to now so we can go into the golden age? And go into the golden age like we never went into the golden age before, because we learned our lesson in Atlantis. Think about it. Just think about it. And these little things have been going on for a while. These UFO sightings that have been happening. Because even Thomas Jefferson is reported in his documents of two different very, very well publicized UFO sightings. And one of them was one of his friends. It happened on April 5th, 1800. William Dunbar, a 50-year-old plantation owner and Natchez resident who eventually received some notoriety for his scientific discoveries and his work as an explorer, found something he couldn't explain floating in the sky above Baton Rouge, Louisiana, an object that he estimated to be the size of a large house. So Louisiana was established as a French fort in the early 1700s, and there was only like 2,000 people that were even living there at the time. And Spain had just ceded the Louisiana territory back to France. And so you had all this French stuff going on with the early American people, the founding fathers. And I'll have to go further into the relationship that Thomas Jefferson and the Randolph family actually had with France, because the family line were Merovingian, so they came from France, but they're Norman descent. They came originally from Scandinavia, and I'm not sure if who the oldest descendant is of the Randolph family, but Rand off means wolf and shield. So, is it a far stretch to think that wolves like Romulus and Remus from Rome could actually be like, my family went back to dogs. They were dog people. They were wolf people. Could be. But we also have these bird people in our family, and that's on my grandmother's side. And I know that because I see the bird lady. I see this lady that is an amalgamation of like a falcon or an eagle with a woman. And I cannot explain to you anymore. She looks very human-like, except she is obviously bird at the same time. Like, she has this bird beak that's just like a bird. And her eyes are like bird eyes. Her pupils are not like regular pupils. And see, that was the thing when I first saw her that threw me off, was that she was looking straight at me like this. But if you ever notice that if you have birds, like I have parakeets, that when I'm talking to my birds, they always look at me like this. They always look at me from the side. They're always looking at you from the side. They never look at you straight on. My birds never look at me straight on. And maybe that's what tripped me out about her, was because when she looked at me straight on, her pupils looked funny. And it was like an uncanny valley experience. I don't know how else to say it. You know what I'm talking about. It gives you like the sense of uncanny valley. You're like, oh, it's unsettling. Not that there was probably nothing nefarious about it, but also when you see these things, they come with a sense of energy that's like, it's confusing is the only way I can say it. It's very confusing because you get this feeling all over and you don't know if you want to laugh, if you want to cry, if you're scared, what you are. It's like such an overwhelming feeling, and it just comes all over you. And so it's unnerving. You get this feeling inside of you that's unnerving. And then if you see something that looks different than what you're accustomed to seeing, it's trippy. It's trippy. It's trippy. So it's like you almost have to see something like this like multiple times, because you got to work it out. I mean, you really got to work it out. And then I've been seeing these orbs recently. In like the last couple of weeks, I started seeing these orbs. Like when I go to sleep, I get these downloads and these beings that talk to me. Alexa, stop. Sorry. I have these beings that come to me in my sleep and they talk to me. Okay? And then I wake up every day at like 4:30 on the nose, and I'm not exaggerating. I've been getting up at 4:30 for like a year on the nose. And I take my animals out first thing. As soon as I get up, I make myself a cup of coffee and I take my dogs out. And it's still dark out here, and where I live, there is no light pollution at all, at all. So I went out here. The first time that I went out, I always look at the sky now. My grandmother used to always say all the time, and this is the funniest thing about my grandmother, is that it's like when I go back and think, it was like she would give me breadcrumbs the whole time. You know, she would say, people never take the time to look at the sky. She said it all the time. People are so busy that they never take the opportunity to admire the sky and see how beautiful the sky is. She said it all the time. And she fed every bird imaginable. She put sheep pans out in her yard with crumbled up bread for like the quail and the dove. I mean, she took care of all the animals. Total nature nut. And I have her bird bath. Funny thing is, I do have her bird bath. So, I mean, you know, there's been things going on for a long time. And I'm leading, what I'm alluding up to is that when I was going out here the last couple of weeks, I'd look up in the sky and I would see, like, it looked just like a round ball. It almost looked like a moon, but iridescent moon. Like you could almost see through it. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just like, you know what? It's like when you take a picture and you get a light exposure on your thing, you get that round ball. It was like that. And it was up in the sky. And I noticed that it was flashing. And when I go outside, I'm always talking to God and Mother Nature and all the nature spirits that are here in the fourth dimension that are all around us that we're not seeing, you know. I communicate with all of that because, you know, there's so much things that you can't see. And, you know, my brothers are around all the time in another dimension. And, you know, I know they're around me because I feel them. And I hear them talking to me at times. So I converse with everything. You know I'm not alone here. And so I see that thing flashing. And I'm thinking, wow, that's interesting. That's flashing. And as I watched it for a minute, it flashed like, you know, different randomly, you know, not like on and off, like, you know, you would, like we talk about scalar grids. This was just kind of irregular. And then I watched it literally just take a sharp cut, exactly like 90 degrees to the side, and just shoot across and vanish. And it was gone. And I was like, dang, I just saw my first UFO real time. You know, I've never seen a UFO. Only time that I've ever encounter these beings is interdimensionally. I don't see their vehicles. I don't see them. I've never been on one. You know, never. I've not experienced that. I experience interdimensional communication. And, you know, I don't know. I think it's different for every person. Maybe it's according to what our DNA, you know, allows us to experience. Maybe, you know, these people are taken physically because of the contracts. And see, that's another thing that makes me think this is that, you know, why do we have contracts? It would make more sense that we all sign contracts because we're coming back from the future to now to straighten this shit up. You know, we're straightening everything up. We're creating a new reality because we've learned our lessons. So we all signed contracts on what we were going to accomplish when we came here. It totally makes sense. It totally makes sense. But the problem is that because of everything that's happened, we lost our bicameral mind, so we're not connected directly to source. So we have to figure out how to get it all back together. So I've been studying some stuff that my teacher has recommended. And there's 2 doctors, and they're a couple, and they're Dr. and Mrs. Dr. and Dr. Hurtak, Hurtak. And he teaches, and he wrote, they wrote a bunch of books. I mean, they're both very brilliant people, doctors. I mean, super smart. And he has a book called The Keys of Enoch. And it's another way that's the Keylontics. Basically, it's the Keylontics, and it's more, it goes on more of the faith-based stuff versus more of, you know, just taking galactic origins from someone who's brought this in. But I personally like comparing everything to stuff that's written down, you know, like we read books and we go through them and we compare, like we were comparing Edgar Casey's readings to actual historical literature, right? You know, I like that. And so I find it really interesting that he's bringing it all in with the Torah, with Genesis, with the Old Testament, the New Testament, you know. And so I find this an area that I'm very interested in studying. And he has different ways of bringing in the activations, and like we talked about with the fire words, and he's very, very fluent in the Hebrew, and they also have such a thorough understanding of the knowledge and everything that goes along with it. It makes it a very rich study. So I'm attending a seminar in April. It's on my anniversary. I'll be at a hippie convention in Scottsdale, which is funny, is where my husband grew up. And his father and their family used to own this restaurant called Pinnacle Peaks in Scottsdale. So I'm gonna check it out while I'm there. But I'm gonna be going to this conference in April. And if anybody is interested in signing up for it, and you're welcome to come, just let me know, and I can email you the information on how to sign up for it, because it's on a brochure and not a digitized one. So if anybody's interested, it's from April 18th through the 20th, and it's being hosted by Dr. and Dr. Hurtak. And it's on the information on the keys of Enoch. So what I think that I'm going to do, instead of going with the full-blown Ashiana code activations, we're going to wait. But I do encourage everyone to still use the Maharic seal and every day to anchor to the planet, to Mother, and to the Divine Father on a daily basis, and bring up that Merkaba shield. And we did do that one, that activation, and that one is good. You do it every day, and that'll give you an activation and a protection for 24 hours. And always make sure you're blessing your food, because the whole point is to put biophotons in. And this is one reason why it's so important to have like pets and to go outside, is that we are batteries. And so when we pet our dogs and our cats and we go outside and we're in nature and we're working with nature, that's charging our battery. So it's really important. So what I want to talk about, my dog's chirping in the background, she's gonna get in trouble. So I want to talk about Thomas Jefferson's UFO documentation that he has. So we have this guy that's in Louisiana, and he says that he saw a UFO over the Gulf. It would have been the Gulf where he says. So I'm going to tell you what his description was. It appeared to be about 200 yards above the surface of the earth, wholly luminous, but not emitting sparks, of a color resembling the sun near the horizon, in a cold, frosty evening, which may be called a crimson red. When passing right over the heads of the spectators, the light on the surface of the earth was little short of the effect of sunbeams, though at the same time, looking another way, the stars were visible, which appeared to be a confirmation of the opinion formed of its moderate elevation. In passing, a considerable degree of heat was felt, but no electric sensation. Immediately after it disappeared in the northeast, a violent rushing noise was heard, as if the phenomena was bearing down on the forest before it. In a few seconds, a tremendous crash was heard, similar to that of the largest piece of ordnance, causing a very sensible earthquake. So they're essentially talking about a UFO crash. And the interesting thing was that Thomas Jefferson was looking for this. And so I have to take my dogs out, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the second time that I saw these orbs. And that's what that video is that I recorded in my shorts, was this orb came back. So with that, hold on to your hats. We're going to come up back with part 2 and another story of when Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers and one of my family members, encountered and came across information about UFOs. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.